The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch. This is episode 105. I'm here with my boys, Jake and Jeff. Jeff is over here looking like Rick Vaughn from Major League. I love the new glasses, man.
Thanks, man. This is probably the only pair of glasses I've actually liked in my entire life. And I think it has something to do with I picked them out when my eyes were dilated. So it's a win.
Yep, win-win. Picked up a few miles per hour on your fastball also?
I did. I spent a few months in the Story County Penal League. Stole a car.
Nice.
So how have you been, Mitch? It's been a while since I've been on the air.
Yeah, been good. Just wrestling with my sons on a travel dual team and doing club wrestling. So just kind of living that life, and school, just trying to survive. And yeah, I mean, I'm ready for baseball to get here. This winter stuff, I'm over that, man. Moving out to the country and having to get up and plow your road with a tractor. I have a mile-long driveway from my house to the paved road. So it's a long, grueling process of plowing the road. But yeah, getting that done. Jake, how about you? How are things up in Madison?
Well, I was actually down in the northwest suburbs this past Saturday in the future home of the Chicago Bears, Arlington Heights. I got to do a boys' day with my best friends, Mike, Josh, and Chris, like best childhood friends. First time that we got to just hang out, the four of us in a long time. So that was great. So shout out to those guys. And I was still recovering this morning. Didn't feel great yesterday. Had to relax for a few extra hours and wait for the Tylenol and ibuprofen both to kick in, so I wouldn't throw up on my drive home with a massive headache. But we know how that goes. And Monday morning, it's a good thing that I had the support of our new partners, Connect Roasters. You guys might know Connect Roasters. If you're not already subscribed to the Home Run Club, or if you don't get it on your own, you might know Connect Roasters as the Ian Happ supported coffee company. But if you subscribe to Connect Roasters, if you are part of the Home Run Club, you know them as your favorite coffee. We're super excited to announce a new partnership with Connect starting today. It is live. We have a promo code live, Dingers Pod. That's all one word. And that will get you 25% off your first order when you subscribe to the Home Run Club. So the Home Run Club is great. I've been a member since it first started. I get the Guatemala roast and I love it. I'm a big coffee nerd, and the Guatemala roast is one of, if not my favorite coffees. There's a reason why I've stayed subscribed to it for, I guess, like a year and a half now. I think they launched it in 2021, if I remember correctly. If not, then it's been 2.5 years. It's either 2020 or 2021. But great coffee. Connect's doing great stuff, giving back to the community. Obviously, Ian being a part of it, he vouches for it, and you could get the Ian Hat Makes Me Coffee T-shirts on the website. So the partnership, obviously, outside of just the promo code, we will be doing we'll be announcing every month a Home Run Club Member of the Month. If you get selected, if you are a Home Run Club member already, you will get mid-February will be the first email where you'll get sent a survey to take to enter this giveaway. And if you're not a member, then sign up with our promo code, and you could get selected to win a prize. We do have the prize, but I want to keep it a surprise. Every month we will switch it up.
Ian Happ will personally come to your house.
We can't promise that.
No, okay.
I was like, no, I mean, hey, I do kind of want to, I was talking to my buddies over the weekend. They were giving me some ideas. So, we give away a couple bleacher tickets. Obviously shirts are always in the mix, potentially some Ian Happ autographed stuff. And then if you join the Home Run Club, you also get a dinger dollar for every home run that Ian Happ hits. And then I believe it's another $1 for every home run that a Cubs player hits at home at Wrigley.
Yep.
So that money can then be put toward they've got a great selection of merch. As I flashed, I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. It's super comfortable. I love the color scheme. If you're not watching on YouTube, it is black ink on yellow. I think they're doing it great. They're doing it well. Great coffee, like I said. And they're continuing to grow the brand. So excited to be partnered with them. So shouts out to them.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Is the Guadalajara roast, is that like a medium or a light?
It's a medium, but it's the Guatemala roast. So they've got when you
do you need to go back and take geography?
No.
Guadalajara. They have two Guatemala roasts, I should say. I do the Santa Clara, but they've also got the Tahuya. So they've got 8 total. One of them is also an espresso blend. So you can order them as whole beans, or if you've got a grinder at home. If otherwise, they can grind it for you for drip coffee. So we'll be talking about this weekly to remind you guys to sign up, and then our plan right now is to announce the first Home Run Club Member of the Month winner in our first March pod. So keep an eye out, sign up, and we'll be posting about it on Twitter as well. So again,
and you can get whatever size bag. Like you can start out with just a 1 bag, like a 12-ounce bag, and then get 2 12-ounce bags, or get like a 5-pound bag. So you can kind of sign up and just have that come every month, depending on you can get a big bag.
If you're supplying for like
pounds?
if you're supplying for I don't know, an office or that's
well, no, I get it, but the only options are 12 ounces or 5 pounds.
You can get 2 12 bags.
You can get 2 12-ounce bags, and 2 12-ounce bags should last. So I do 1 12-ounce bag, and it lasts me about half a month. And the reason I don't do 2 12-ounce bags is we've got a lot of great local coffee shops here in Madison that I like to support as well for that second half of the month. But 2 12-ounce bags will last you the month.
Beatniks writing poetry, sucking up the Wi-Fi.
Yep, that's what we do. But I'm excited to be able to connect with Connect Roasters and get me some dinger dollars. It's like a match made, like dinger dollars. Dingers podcast, just doing it big. Love it.
Sense.
So go get yourself, sign up, Dinger Pod, and looking forward to being able to drink some coffee with you and watch some Cubs here soon. Speaking of connecting and staying balanced, let's jump into some baseball talk. And there's a lot of different things going on in baseball, Major League Baseball this year. Some new rule changes, a pitch clock, bigger bases. One I wanted to kind of jump on right away and first, because I want to talk about how it's going to impact the Cubs. And we'll probably talk about each one of the rule changes and how it will impact the Cubs before the season starts. The first one, and I think is really interesting, and I think it'll possibly have the biggest impact across all of baseball, is the balanced schedule. So if you haven't heard, this year there's going to be a new balanced schedule, including 13 games against their division rivals and 52 games overall against division opponents. Each team will play 6 games against 6 opponents and 7 games against 4 opponents in the same league for a total of 64 games. Each team will play an additional 46 interleague games. So you won't get playing the same teams in the division a ton of times. It's actually 24 less games interdivision. So you're not going to have the Cubs playing the Pirates a ton of times, seeing the same 4 teams played against the Cubs. You're going to get a little bit more intermix. So you're going to play every team in baseball. What are your thoughts? Are you a big supporter? Or what do you think so far initially there, Jeff? What do you think?
At first, I kind of didn't like it because you're kind of used to the schedule where we play the Brewers and the Cards and the Reds so much. But I was thinking they play the Twins a few times a year. That's not a far drive for me. If they play the Royals,
May 13th, 14th, and 15th in Minneapolis. Already have it marked to buy some tickets to go up there because I haven't been to Target Field yet. Want to go up there. Love the field. I've heard great things. I've already marked it down. That telling the family, or if you guys want to come meet us up there, let's do it big and have a dingers.
We'll probably still have to wear sweatshirts in May in Minnesota.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure.
Was it the end of April we were in Milwaukee and we froze our nuggets off in the parking lot?
It was so cold. It
But
was so damn
then we got
cold.
to go inside.
Yeah, we did get to go inside with a roof.
Twins, you don't get to go inside.
Not anymore. The Homer Dome is gone.
Yep. What are your thoughts, Jake?
I think it's great. I mean, kind of like what you guys just said. I mean, it means that Cubs fans around the country have a chance to see the Cubs at their local or closer to home ballpark, right? I mean, it's great for the game of baseball in general, because they get to flaunt their big stars all around the league. Like Mike Trout is always the one that people come back to. He plays on the West Coast. So for us, his games start at 9 p.m. We're not watching Mike Trout live, which is a shame. So now Trout's going to be
Speaking
playing.
of Mike Trout, I just saw a post.
He finally made the playoffs.
That he's watched more Eagles playoff games than he's actually participated in playoff games for the Angels.
Yeah, that's really sad. That's really, but I don't know. I mean, I could talk about the Angels and how I feel about them this year, but we won't. I think that it's just going to be good for the game. Going to be good for I think the Red Sox play at Wrigley this summer. Like that's awesome. Tickets are going to be more expensive for those games, at least until it becomes more of like a regular thing, right? Like a few years down the line when it's like, oh yeah, the Red Sox come to Wrigley every other season. After a while, the fanfare of that will kind of wear off a little bit and it'll just become old hat. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited that we get to see every team play every team, and you get to see the best square up against the best. There's no reason that it shouldn't have always been this way, or at least closer to this than we're only playing the AL Central this season. Yeah. Of course, from a matchup standpoint, it's going to make the schedule more difficult, which you kind of touched on, Mitch. We're not playing the Pirates as frequently as we were, and if we matched up against the AL Central for the season, like that would have been a little bit more forgiving than playing against all of the AL teams now. But it's cool, man. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see the Red Sox at Wrigley this summer.
Well, speaking on making it a little bit more difficult, so Fangraphs did a little graph to show how much it could possibly impact this year's teams doing the balanced schedule. And so this is what it came out to. So if you look at it, the AL East and AL West, it kind of helps them a little bit. The AL Central, it doesn't really affect a whole bunch, but NL East, it hurts a ton. Not being able to play, I think, more of the NL teams. It's just an interesting graphic. So what it's kind of saying and what's showing is that it's going to make an impact. Maybe not a ton, because the win percentage is only like 0.04% win percentage, but it's going to have an impact. And I think it's going to have more of an impact on the wild card teams. I think it's going to have more of an impact down the stretch when you're not going to get the end of the season where you're playing against the Pirates, and you might get matched up where you end up playing, I don't know, in a contender in the AL East where you're playing the Yankees down the stretch. That could possibly happen. And so I think it's going to impact some teams when looking at the Cubs schedule and then playing the Pirates and the Reds so much, and that not happening this year. I think it could impact the Cubs in a big way, depending on, I haven't looked at the schedule, who we're playing in August and September, but down the stretch, it's a grind, especially in the summer months of Chicago when you're playing day games. and you're trying to grind through it and you have to face a tough schedule to end the season, it's going to make an impact. I don't know how much, but it's going to be interesting to see. But when you think about like the AL East, when you think about the Orioles and the Rays and how hard it is for them to make the playoffs in that division over the last couple of years, it just got significantly easier by not having to play the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rays over and over so much, where, I mean, they just beat each other up. And where you're in a weak division, maybe like the NL Central, and you have one team that's really, really good and a whole bunch of teams that aren't, they kind of have it a little bit easier to kind of sneak into the playoffs. And so this year, you're not going to kind of have that. You're going to have a good balance, which is going to bring about some better baseball to watch. Well, my main thing is that it's going to provide those matchups for the viewer to want to tune into a game. Think about if the Phillies are playing the Angels and you have a matchup of Shohei Ohtani on the mound pitching against Bryce Harper, like that's going to be something that people want to tune in and watch and see that matchup, rather than you never see that matchup all season long because they never play each other. And they don't match up each other in the little bit of interleague that you do have. So you're going to have those key matchups. You could possibly have some World Series preview matchups happening.
Oh,
Like, I think that's going to be really cool.
I mean, inevitably you will, right? Like inevitably the teams that play each other in the World Series will have a series against each other in the regular season. And I think that's a great point. And I also think, like, you know, especially down the stretch, there's a chance that, a team vying for the NL wild card and a team vying for the AL wild card play each other. And then you've kind of got like, and I know obviously this happens regardless. Like you've got National League teams playing each other down the stretch too for wild card.
Kind of like playoff mentality baseball in August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I think that plus the, the broadened playoff field, which I actually did enjoy this past season. I didn't think I was going to. You're going to see teams really turn it on in the second half. And it's going to be fun to watch.
I wonder if it's going to make the trade deadline more exciting.
It could. You might be able to see more AL teams like live and in person and get to see them a little bit more. I don't know. Looking at the Cubs and who they play from the AL down the stretch in August, they have the Blue Jays, White Sox, Royals, and Tigers.
Oh, so we'll be all right
in a little bit of a stretch.
The Jays are going to be really good again, but the rest.
But then you look at it, and they have the Red Sox in there. They have the Guardians in July. It's kind of balanced. It's going to be more difficult, I think, at the beginning of the season where you're going to get some better AL teams matching up.
It'll be the meat grinder. What's that? You got your Wrigley Field season tickets there, Jake?
I don't mean to brag. This is the Cubs Con calendar that I effectively paid $140 for.
He got it on eBay, the highest bidder.
That's how I got $140 on eBay. I think it's interesting that we talk about the interleague matchups down the stretch making a difference, and in September it's all National League.
Yep, it's all National League for the Cubs.
And it could be, to start September, I didn't plan on getting into the schedule, but I think it is interesting to talk about right now because it's out and we can talk about it. We've got the Reds, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, the Rockies, and then we finish off with the Braves and the Brewers. So I don't expect the Giants to be very good. I don't think they made any splashes this offseason that really wowed me.
That thing went south. For teams.
Yeah. I will say that at least it made the Giants doctor must have breathed like the biggest sigh of relief. I know that's been talked about, but yeah, I think the only team that could be interesting is the Diamondbacks. We play the Diamondbacks 7 times in September, and I think the Diamondbacks are coming around. They've got some good young players and pitching too. So I that will be interesting to watch. But otherwise, that September schedule looks pretty cushy. And wait, was it the Rockies? I wonder if
Rockies. What I was looking at,
that's Rockies away too. So home and away, 2 series, but we get to play at Coors. So, and
I was looking at our April. So our April, because of the balanced schedule, we have more home games in April. I don't know why. We have 16 home games in April.
Dude, that sucks.
And it does. But if you're thinking like we have Texas Rangers, that's our third series is against Texas at home. Then we have Seattle at home. We have the Dodgers at home and the Padres at home. It's like, I'm pretty sure we could play in LA, go to California, play a couple games.
Right.
I mean, especially when we go 3 games at Oakland and then come back home without a day off and play the Dodgers 4-4.
Who thought of this schedule?
I mean, it's gonna be a little bit of funky schedule.
Who needs to update their Google Maps at the MLB headquarters?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I actually do. Scott asks a good question in the comments. What number is higher on October 2nd? Jeff's deadlift max or the Cubs winning percentage? Jeff, what's your max right now?
405.
Oh shit. So your deadlift max might be higher than the Cubs winning percentage. Okay. Yeah, I was like, I was thinking about my deadlift max, which I won't say because it's a little embarrassingly low. But hey, you got to start somewhere. Yeah. So that's, I don't know, Jeff. Do you think you could push it? You think you could do like a 475?
No. I will burst the blood vessels in my eyeballs.
Yeah. I mean, we tried to do a trap bar deadlift and beat Max Bain. And what were we getting up to?
Like 4 1/4.
I think I got like
435, something in there. You might have been at 450. I don't know. It wasn't like.
Yeah. It
was a struggle.
I think my max with just a barbell is 415, but that's straining.
Oh yeah, like
I just started deadlifting. I just started deadlifting regularly in like November, so I won't say my number, but we're working on it.
We'll try to boost ours up, get up to the Cubs winning percentage.
Gotta pump that up.
Yep, pump it up. I know Jake wanted to talk a little bit about Cody Bellinger and get into Cody Bellinger and his impact with the Cubs. And could he possibly be one that we extend? There's a lot of extension talks. I know we really want Nico Horner to be extended. We want Ian Happ to be extended. But if Belly gets out to a hot start, could something happen there? What do you think the Cubs do? Or do you think we're going to see that? There was a video today, I'm just saying, that was posted of Belly hitting some dingers at the spring training in Mesa. Already he's there. So what are your thoughts, Jake?
Yeah, that was perfect timing with that video. I forget who not Rich Beasterfield. There's another guy that posts videos out in Arizona all the time. And I'm sorry that I'll find it later on. But if you're listening to this, you've probably seen the video if you're on Cubs Twitter. I just think it poses like a really interesting potential predicament, right? Because I don't think that I don't think that Bellinger will be extended midseason. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I do wonder that if he's playing well and the Cubs prove to be the organization that he like straightens things out with, I think the dude's going to thrive on Wrigley Field's energy. I think he's going to absolutely love it. And I think the fans are going to love him right back. So I think that it could be like if Bellinger plays, if he bats like 260 and hits, mid 20s, upper 20s home runs, like there's going to be mutual interest there. So I think it's going to be interesting to see whether it's going to come down to like Bellinger or Happ. And like, look, as like, because he's the homegrown guy and because of what he's done over the last couple of seasons, I of course prefer Happ, but it's also going to matter what the minor leaguers do this season. Like, I think I talked about it with Ron when I hopped on tap a couple Fridays ago. This upcoming season is incredibly pivotal for like a slew of dudes in the minor leagues this year. Like most of them, as Scott sounds off in the comments, Belly is getting traded so PCA can start in center field. Not this year. Not this year. I think that I think if Belly's doing well and the Cubs are not, then of course they're going to shop him. I think they'd be dumb not to. But if the Cubs are contending at the deadline, let me answer the second part of that. PCA is not coming up this season. I don't really care how well he's playing. You don't want to push your top prospects.
Scott, I know you live in Des Moines. Just get comfortable watching him in Des Moines and appreciate the time you get with PCA, because he's only going to be there this next year, because next year he's going to be in Chicago.
And look, I don't want to get into like service time manipulation necessarily, but the big thing is now, as opposed to service time manipulation, what they try to do to curb it is they incentivize players. If your top prospect wins Rookie of the Year, you get a compensatory pick for that. So if they call up PCA in the middle of the season, depending on when that happens, he's got a smaller sample size and he doesn't have a shot at, if he breaks whatever the 125 plate appearances, I think, is the threshold. If he breaks that, then he exhausts his rookie eligibility and he can't get that draft pick compensation in 2024. So sure, maybe we see him get a cup of coffee in September, but the dude would have to be just absolutely obliterating AAA for him to get called up. And I just don't think that they're going to want to start his service clock based on the competitive window. But again, like he's going to be a blast to watch. To see how Canario bounces back is going to be big. We're going to be talking about some more minor league stuff in the upcoming pod, so we won't get too deep into it. But I think the big thing is just going back to the first question that Mitch posed. Like, I think that Bellinger, I hope that he puts the Cubs in a difficult position. First of all, I hope that we're having a winning competitive season. And then I hope that Bellinger puts the front office in a difficult position where it's like, hey, do we figure out a way to retain this guy and sign him in the offseason? Financially, it may not make sense, especially if Mervis is playing well and you've already got Mancini on a 2-year contract. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of talking circles. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you, where I think it's going to come down to, are they going to extend Happ or Bellinger at that point? Like, if they're both playing well, they got a decision to make of who they're going to go with, who's going to be their guy. And that's a hard pill for me to swallow, to think about them choosing Belly over Happ, because I mean, you listen to the Compound Podcast, you feel like you are buddies with Ian Happ. I mean, I walked through a cornfield with Ian Happ. I feel like I've got a picture taken with Ian Happ. I feel like we're best friends, and to see him go, that would be hard.
For the record, he photobombed that photo.
I made one of Ian Happ's videos that he posted as well. Nice. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it'd be very hard. But I do think we're going to see, maybe not the MVP Bellinger, but we're going to see him get closer back to where he used to be. We're going to see a little bit more power. We're going to see him out in outfield playing great defense in center. And yeah, I'm excited about, you can just see, I feel like, especially at Cubs Con, the way he carried himself, there was a weight lifted off of him, and he can just like go out and play. Like, he can just go out and prove it. Like, he doesn't have to win a World Series with the Dodgers. Like, it's the Cubs. I mean, if we make the World Series and win it this year, great. But I think everybody knows that our window is still a little bit down the road going to be open. Like, right now, it's maybe like a tiny little bit of crack open. And so he knows that it's a prove it year, and he just has to go out and do it. Kind of like, I feel like he's going to be kind of like what Jock Peterson was, with way better defense and hit a little bit more for average. for the year that Jock played with us. We loved Jock Peterson, played with a lot of energy, had fun. Like that's the type of energy that we want. And we gravitated towards that when Jock was in the lineup. So I think it's going to be big for him and for us. And what I like is it's just going to cause the front office to have to make tough decisions, where I think the last couple of years, with the team, they haven't really had to make tough decisions. It's been more with the minor leagues when to call people up and stuff. So, I mean, any of that's good. It's good. Like I liked back in the day when Chris Bryant started tearing the cover off the ball the year that he was getting traded. It made them make a tough decision. Those are good things. They had tough decisions with Contreras. I feel like they made the right decision to not trade him. And so I think I like what they're doing. So anytime it's going to make them make a tough decision, it's good. Let's go on to our next topic, opening day starter. Jeffrey, since you have the Rick Vaughn glasses on, let's go to you. Who you got? I know it's way early. Who you got opening day starter for the Cubs this year?
I'm going to go with Stroman.
Ooh, okay. Why?
Well, I don't know if Kyle Hendricks is going to be ready, and he's kind of lost a little bit the last couple of seasons. And I haven't really seen Jameson pitch too much. Justin Steele's a little bit of a long shot, I think.
Okay.
I just feel like Stroman's going to be the guy this year. He's like a miniature Carlos Zambrano without all the attitude.
Oh, with some of the attitude.
A little bit. I've never
Jake,
seen him destroy a Gatorade bucket yet.
Could happen this year. Jake, what
I
about
don't
you?
think he has that attitude, thankfully. You know what? So I'm looking at the Brewers' projected lineup right now, and they are
just guess.
Hey, you gotta. No, man. Hey, you know me. They're lefty heavy. They have more lefties projected in the starting lineup than righties, although they do have 3 righties and then a switch hitter and Victor Caratini on the bench. This is all projected on Roster Resource on Fangraphs. So they've got Yelich, Tellez, Jesse Winker, Garrett Mitchell, and Bryce Terang as the projected starting 9, or 5 of the projected starting 9 that all bat lefty. I really like how Steele closed the season last year. I think it makes sense. Like it's like 95% going to be Stroman. But I think it could depend on like early spring training stuff too. If you see Steele come out and like he's hitting his spots and he looks sharp, if you're going up against a team that has these lefties, I mean, the lefties that they have in this lineup are better than the righties that they have on the bench. So I'd even almost rather take that chance. And throw the lefty and make them put those righties in the lineup. Like Keston Hiura and Mike Brasso, not worried about them. Brian Anderson has been up and down coming from Miami. He's not a bad hitter. But I'd love to see Steele, but it's probably going to be Stroman.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Stroman unless there's an injury. I think Stroman's going to be the opening day starter, which lends me to this question, and we're going to play a little game. And you guys in the chat and watching, you guys can play as well. How many opening day starters can you guys name from the 80s until current? Okay, we're going to have a little sheet over here. When you say the starting pitcher or the opening day pitcher, you have to tell me the opening day and what year, and I will see how many of you guys can get right.
Who goes first?
My God.
Jeff, you can go first.
All right, 1997, Steve Traxel.
1997, Steve Traxel? Is that right?
Oh, we're hoping you knew.
No. 1997 was not Steve Traxel. It was close, though.
Son of a gun.
I'll give it to you.
What year was it 96 or 98?
It was 19 1999.
Really?
Steve Traxel, 1999. Jake, who you got?
Okay. 2016 had to be Arrieta.
Jake Arrieta. I mean, you could go easy and just go bing, bing, bing. 3. Who are these 3?
Yeah, that's Hendricks.
Kyle Hendricks. Okay. Who? Okay, Jeff.
1984, Rick Sutcliffe.
84? No, not Rick Sutcliffe.
Really?
84 was.
Oh yeah, Dick Ruthven.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Of course.
So what year was Sutcliffe? Like 86?
Sutcliffe was 89 through
86.
85. Yep.
80. Jesus.
86.
Wow. Shouts out to Sut.
So
and 85.
2005, Carlos Zambrano.
That is correct. You could.
Would 2000? Okay, so 2003 is when Maddox came back too. So it's either Maddox or Wood in 03.
I'd say Wood.
Yeah.
Okay. Wood was 04 and 03 was Kerry Wood.
Oh man, who was
2000? Are any of our? Is anybody listening?
Well, I see who's in the cell there, but
Scott says 88 through 92 Maddox.
He's got to be pretty close.
Okay, you want to hear something crazy? Greg Maddox was only an opening day starter for the Cubs one time.
That's so sad. That's so sad.
One
90?
time. And you know what year it was?
90 or 91?
1992.
So did we trade him?
It was the only year he was an opening day starter.
Wow. Was he ever an opening day starter for Atlanta?
Oh, he had to be.
With Glavine and Smoltz?
Okay, so you have Carlos Zambrano. I'm going to give you some of these up here because Carlos Zambrano was.
Wait, Jeff Samardzija in 2011.
Yep.
Oh,
nope. Ryan Dempster in 2011. Ryan Dempster in 2012.
Jeez.
And then you have the Jeff Samardzija those 2 years.
Hey, the Shark.
I can't believe he was an opening day starter for us.
He was not bad, man. When he got traded that year to the A's, he was good.
Okay, so then look up at the top. Who do you think these other ones are? The black ones up here.
You got a Kyle Hendricks in there. After
Kyle Hendricks was.
No, I was going to say Lester. All 3.
Lester.
Oh. Or is Arrieta 17? Maybe.
He may have been.
Lester was 18 and 17.
Okay. Yeah.
And 15.
15.
And we'll go down here. We'll give you some of these.
John Lieber
was 2000
for 3 years.
2001 and 2002. We'll open up these because this is what's crazy. Tapani, Mulholland, Bullinger, Mike Morgan, Jamie Navarro, which I cannot believe that he was no opening day. 90-91. This is kind of interesting. Mike Bilecki and Danny Jackson. I do not remember Danny Jackson. I remember watching a lot of Cubs baseball in the early 90s. And Danny Jackson, who the heck is that? And then in the 80s, you had Rick Rochelle, Doug Bird, and Fergie Jenkins in 1983, the year I was born. What is crazy about this is Mark Pryor was never an opening day starter for the Chicago Cubs.
Wow.
That's
Injuries,
crazy,
man. injuries were the big reason, right? Because I mean, Kerry Wood was the clear
Lisa
opening day
got Fergie
starter.
Jenkins, correct?
That's my mom. Let's go. Go, Mom.
There you go. She knew that one. But yeah, that's just, it was crazy when I was doing this. Look, I was like, Mark Pryor never was an opening day. I was like, yeah, that's crazy, but true fact that he was never an opening day starter for the Chicago Cubs. But yeah, Marcus Stroman. I mean, when you look at the rotation, Marcus Stroman, Jamison Tyone, Hendricks, Steele, Smiley, and then the depth that we have with Keegan Thompson, Hayden Wesneski, Adbert, Adrian Sampson, Assad, Killian. Like we have some depth there that's going to get us through the whole season. But one guy I wanted to kind of talk about, and I heard you guys talk about him a little bit on Cubs on Tap, is Hayden Wesneski. I'm so excited to see this guy on the mound again. I think he's going to do some big things. Dude is just lights out to the end of the season. He was so fun to watch. Debuted with 33 innings for the Cubs. He was a 2.18 ERA. He was a 33-7 strikeout to walk ratio. His stuff all grades out on a scale of 80. It grades out at a 65, which is like top 3 in the whole system for the Cubs. Has a wipeout slider, not a top tier fastball. I would say it's not like blow your doors away, but he's got stuff and he's got just some swagger on the mound. How do you project his season to go, Jake? Like, what are you thinking his season, how his trajectory will go this season?
So we're hearing that Hendricks is probably not going to be ready for opening day. So I would be pretty shocked. Like the 5th starter spot, I mean, I guess it could go to a handful of guys, right? Because Sampson's not in the top 5 on opening day. So it could be Sampson, it could be Wesneski, it could be Thompson. I've seen projections. I think Brian Smith of Bleacher Nation projected that Wesneski starts the year in the AAA starting rotation, which, like, I guess it makes sense from the perspective of like, allow the pitching development to tinker with him a little bit more and really see what we have. Because yeah, the sample looked great last year. But I'm looking at his numbers like per pitch according to the Stuff Plus model, which I've brought up before. And his cutter is a little bit better than average at a 109.3. And his slider obviously is a 150.9, which is off the charts. But everything else is like well below average with the 4-seam fastball. So again, we're, similar to WRC plus or OPS plus, with 100 being about league average. Wesneski's 4-seamer is a 73.1, changeup 85.6, and sinker 80.7 on a Stuff scale. So that's not talking about like location, which of course factors into the overall number of the pitching plus. But I listened to a podcast recently where they were talking about Spencer Strider. And I'm not saying that Wesneski is going to be Spencer Strider. Strider's got a better fastball. But Spencer Strider dominated last year in his rookie campaign, basically on 2 pitches, a fastball and a slider. And I wish I knew who I was listening to, but they asked Strider, like, okay, so you throw the fastball up and the slider low. Like, what do you do when they just start hunting the fastball up? Well, then I throw the fastball low, he said, to throw him off. And it's like, okay, shit, that makes it sound like way easy.
It's that easy, guys.
It is for him because he's that good. So I don't know, man, if they can get Wesneski's fastball up to like a mid-90s on a Stuff scale, location-wise, it's pretty good. It's a little bit above average at a 103.3. So he spots the fastball pretty well. But again, like, this is a low sample from last season. I don't think that Wesneski has like ace upside. I think that he could be like a really solid 3, maybe a 2 if everything pans out. Like if he gets his change up, like, really dialed in, which is, you could say that for
I picture him kind of like what you said. Like, if you get some guys around him, he could be the Matt Clement of a good 5 pitcher rotation, where Matt Clement was lights out. He had a nasty curveball, like a filthy 2-pitch.
Yeah.
And he was really good that season. And it's like, you need those guys. And Hayden Wesneski has the stuff in that pitch that can do that for him. The thing, like with his fastball, like his motion has to hide the ball really, really well, because he has a little bit of a funky little delivery. He has really long limbs. Like, he has to do a really good job of hiding that, because it seems like even last year the fastball got on some guys a lot quicker than they expected it. And so, I mean, if he can keep doing that and tunneling that slider with his fastball and just have those pitches work off each other, you saw him be very effective last year with it.
Yeah.
It's just, can he maintain that for a whole season when guys start seeing him the 3rd or 4th time game that they've seen him? Like, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, he and Killian are the 2 guys that I'm most excited to see how they develop this season. Killian obviously needs a bounce back, and Wesneski, it's all about what kind of run does he get in the rotation.
Yep. What are your thoughts, Jeffrey? Hayden Winnebago, as you like to call him.
Yeah, Hayden Winnebago. I don't know. I think he's going to do a fabulous job this year. I really do. I think he's going to be one of the bright spots in the rotation. I think people are going to be excited for when it's his day to take them out. I don't know. It's just, I feel a lot better for some reason about the pitching staff this year than I did last year going into the season. A lot of question marks for me last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with the depth we have, if any of those guys go down, we have guys that can backfill pretty. Right. And we saw kind of even second half of last season where we backfilled and we stayed really, really strong, having one of the best ERAs in all of baseball, top 5.
Didn't we back like 3 starters? 4?
I mean, we had Javier Assad, we had Adrian Sampson, and Keegan Thompson logging a lot of those innings. And they aren't even going to be our top 5 this year right now. Right. And so, but I'm looking forward to, I kind of with you, Jake, his development this year, I'm looking for, because he's going to be one that's going to be a solid fit in that rotation for years to come. And when you look at a playoff run, you need 4 horses. You need 4 really good pitchers to carry you through a series, to win you a series. And he needs to be that guy that is a little bit different than the other 3, bring something different on the mound. And we need him. We need him to be that guy. And if not, like, move him to the bullpen. Let's see him use 2 pitches and get through 1 inning and be dominant. And he's a great tool that we have in our system that I'm glad we have. So, yeah, I mean, Scott, nasty slider. Could transition to a closer like Dennis Eckersley.
Without the booze problem, I hope.
See, I think nowadays you need to have that fastball. Yeah, you need to have the fastball that gets swing and miss. And I think that's why Estrada is like a shoe-in to be the closer by the end of the season. If he proves that he can work in high leverage situations, he's the closer by the end of the year.
Which his fastball rates out at a 65 as well, with Hayden Wesneski, one of the top in the system. And his fastball rates out like just ridiculous from PitchBot. Like the grade 80, I think his fastball is rating out at like, it was like 76 or something like that. Just a crazy high. Yeah. Which league average is like 50.
Yeah. Right. So to go back to the pitching plus model, to throw some more numbers to the listeners, Estrada's fastball was a 133.3 on stuff, which is, again, like, that's like at Wesneski's slider. Basically. It's like, I mean, it's what I can't remember what I said Wesneski's slider was. It was like in the 130 something range, right? I don't think it was was it 150? But I mean, that's nuts. And his slider, which he only threw 22 times, but Estrada's slider rated a 146.8. So like, this dude he threw 4 pitches. His changeup he only threw once, but it rated a 117. So you can't really, and the curveball he threw 5 times, it rated a 43. So I don't know. But Estrada is he could be like the key to the bullpen this season.
Yep. Yeah, I'm. It's great to talk about our arms when we have guys up and down from starters through rotation that we can count on. And like the last couple of years, we've talked about Jed has built a bullpen, and he hasn't made a ton of moves with the bullpen. Boxberger bringing in, I think, helps solidify that. But I think he's finally got really confident in our pitching infrastructure of what we've built through our minor leagues, that he's pretty confident in what we've established with the guys like Estrada, with Ethan Roberts, who's hopefully going to come back this year and dominate after injury. We have those guys in our bullpen that we can be confident that a lot of them are going to be back from last year. Shifting focus, because we're kind of getting towards the end of our episode. I know Jeff wanted to talk about Hall of Fame talk. Congratulations to Scott Rowland for getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Jeff might sing a different tune. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
It's not that I don't think Scott isn't deserving of Cooperstown. I just think if you're going to put people like him in there, you got to put Mark Grace in there. From 88 to 2003, no one played more games than Mark Grace. He played 2,245, and he had a K rate of 6.9. That's pretty low. He's one of two players to lead the MLB in hits for an entire decade. The other person is Pete Rose. And not only did Grace lead the 1990s in hits, but he hit more doubles than anybody that decade too. And his career numbers, they're pretty insane. He had a 303, 383, 442 slash line with a 120 WRC plus. If anybody's interested on that, Jake will fill you in on what a WRC plus is.
I appreciate that, Jeff.
Even though he never hit more than 17 homers in a season, he had 11.6% base on balls. His K rate was 6.9. And those aren't typos. If he played second base, he'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Down.
I do think that the position makes a difference for sure.
Like
but how does he line up against Keith Hernandez? Like I wonder how his numbers compare to Keith Hernandez. He wasn't a power hitting first baseman either.
I really feel like this is going to be a Ron Santo thing. Like Ron Santo's numbers are just as good as anybody else, and they didn't put him in there until after he died, which really honks me off. So,
yeah, his in similarity scores for similar batters, how Baseball Reference breaks it down. I don't know if like 1,000 is like the most similar, if that's like player for player. Keith Hernandez is number one. Oh, Keith Hernandez isn't a Hall of Famer. He probably should be a Hall of Famer too.
Here we go. We can start.
Yeah, Keith Hernandez won an MVP too. So yeah, I mean, actually, Gracie had better career numbers, or at least a better overall slash line. So
he played one last season and had 407 more hits, and he struck out 768 less times.
I do not want to take away from what Scott Rowland as a player.
Yeah.
The dude, he won the Gold Glove twice, two more times than Mark Grace.
Yeah.
He had a career 21.1 defensive WAR. That's insane.
Nuts.
So
he had 114 defensive runs saved.
So if you look at it in 2018, I think he got 12% of the votes. So from 2018, he went from 12% to 75%. So over that time, the writers have switched this whole mentality. Like, I think they overcorrected on their defensive metrics. And now is that all they're looking at now? Because before it was like all offense. Like, how many Cy Youngs? How many games did they win as a pitcher? All this other crap. I'm just saying, if you're going to put Scott Rowland in the Hall of Fame, you got to put Mark Grace in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
I'm curious. So, like, were there other guys on the ballot that stood out to you guys that were like, yeah, they should for sure be in?
Yes.
Because, like, I thought that Rowland I thought that Roland like had a good shot, but there are other guys on there that I think that should have been in before I would have chosen Roland.
Name them off, because there was like 3 that kind of caught my eye, and I should have made a note of it.
So Todd Helton.
Yes.
Todd Helton would be one.
He's the Colorado Rockies franchise.
Yeah. Todd Helton, Billy Wagner.
Billy Wagner was
Andrew Jones
from the Braves.
Yep. Gary Sheffield.
Gary Sheffield is not in.
A-Rod, which of course the whole steroid scandal, but still arguably the best left side of the infield player. Top 5 for sure. Jeff Kent, who, like, if you look at Jeff Kent's numbers for a second baseman, ridiculous.
Yep.
Like Jeff Kent is maybe one of the most, and again, like I think people like argue like steroid era, but like Jeff Kent is the most underrated player maybe of all time. It is insane if you look at his numbers.
He was the standard for second base for a very long time. Like he took the torch from Ryan Sandberg, and like, I mean, he's right up there with numbers with Ryan Sandberg. Like he's a stud. Yeah, I mean, we could get into a ton of Hall of Fame talk. Jeff, do you have your can't fix stupid?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up here.
And this one hits home or hits local to us. It's crazy.
So, God, what is this? This is from January 13th, right here in a suburb of Des Moines, I guess. It's happened in Ankeny. A woman thought to be dead found alive at Ankeny funeral home. So, I mean, I've been around a few dead bodies. I know what they look like. I know what they sound like. They're normally not breathing. The staff at the Central Iowa Funeral Home was surprised when a woman who was believed to be dead turned out to be alive. KCCI received a tip earlier this week about the incident and has spent days working to confirm the details. The Ankeny Fire Department told KCCI its crews were called to the Ankeny Funeral Home and Crematory on West 1st Street around 8:30 a.m. January 3rd. The fire department said the first responders were initially called for a cardiac arrest incident. The crew determined the patient was not in cardiac arrest, so they began to treat the patient before they were taken to a hospital. The patient's current condition is unknown. The Ankeny Fire Department would not comment further on the incident, but KCCI obtained scanned audio that gives more detail about the incident. A first responder can be heard saying, "Just so you know, this female was transported there deceased, and she is not. They're in the chapel, and she's on a cot." In a statement to KCCI, the funeral home's parent company wrote, "Out of respect for the privacy and confidentiality of the families, we are honored to serve. We are not in a position to comment further on the matter." Can you imagine being put in a body bag when you're not dead? Like, who noticed it? Like, was it like rising and falling as she was breathing? Was she screaming?
Yeah. How did they like? What? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
this kind of reminds me of when I was young and we lived in Slater, Iowa, and I had that buddy whose parents owned the funeral home, and they also had a band. So we would go down to the basement, play with the band instruments, bang on the drum, play the guitar. But we would also sneak into the casket room where they would take people to pick one out, and we would hide in the caskets and throw the lids open and freak the crap out of people. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine this happening.
I got a lot of questions because the fact that they won't release
anything,
the audio of what happened, and they haven't given any names.
No names.
Like, why are they trying to keep this under wraps?
I have no idea.
I think somebody tried to murder somebody.
Right. So that was
an
entire month ago that this happened, and there's been no updates on this news story about how this woman shows up at a funeral home not dead.
I think the funeral parlor guy is a serial killer, and his workers were onto him, and he like drugged a person, got it to be like legally dead, consciously dead,
right?
But not dead. He was going to finish the job while he scalped the person and took all the
yeah.
And they were onto him, and they called I think there's more to it than this.
There's a huge investigation going on, I bet, right now.
Yep.
I mean, you know what a kidney goes for on the black market?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he takes all the corpses and gets all the organs out and sells them on the black market.
I don't think it works that way. I don't think it works that way, but
you never know.
You never know.
That would just be people that are collecting human organs, not that need them to live.
Funkin' heads.
Somebody I've seen Face Off.
Yeah. Somebody might want your stomach, Jake. You never know. Might make
my stomach sucks. My stomach's absolutely garbage. You don't want it. You don't want it. Needs too much Pepto, too much Tums. The maintenance costs are ridiculous. This is a 55-year-old digestive system, not a 29-year-old. No.
But yeah, close to home, Ankeny, Iowa.
Yeah.
You got some research to do down there. I would do some investigating with that funeral home. That'd be a case.
If there are updates, Jeff, you'll have to give us an update.
Oh, like I've been waiting for updates. Like I read the news like every morning from KCC, Iowa. I'm eating my breakfast. I'm like, when am I going to learn about this lady that wasn't dead?
We should email them. We should do a follow-up and get a reporter to like investigate this thing a little bit further. We want answers. This is local news. We live locally. We want to know what happened.
Fair.
Definitely fair.
It is.
All right.
Can't leave me with a cliffhanger like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for episode 105 of the Dingers podcast. Thanks for listening. Yeah, the ball's going to start rolling here pretty quick, and we're going to start having to do a lot more episodes every week, which is exciting. We're excited for pitchers and catchers. I think they report in
roughly 2 weeks,
15 days. Yeah, somewhere around there. Man, let's go. Let's get it going. We have some Cubs players that we're lining up to get on. We have Greg Huss coming on in a couple of weeks to talk about his new stat, the Bash stat, which we're excited to talk about. And yeah, just excited for the season. So stay with us as we enter the 2023 season. Fun to talk Cubs baseball with you guys tonight. Yeah, does it for episode 105. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Dinger Cubs and download our podcast wherever you listen to our podcasts. All right. Thanks for listening. Go Cubs.
Good night, John Boy.